One thing I've seen over the last few years that's becoming very prevalent is people starting personal brands before they've done anything with their lives, or they start one as soon as they see a small glimpse of success. I'm sure you've seen people who do this sort of thing. Like, let's say, for example, we have this guy here, Tom, and he goes into e-com for the first time in his life. And as soon as he starts making 5K a month, he launches a personal brand and he starts acting like a business guru and he drops a course. And this happens with everything. You have here, for example, let's call this one Jimmy. And as soon as he gets slightly shredded, or maybe he loses 10 pounds, same thing, he starts to post a lot of content and he becomes a health influencer. Or maybe a guy like Dan right here, who for the first time in his life, he sleeps with 5 women in one single week, and now all of a sudden he becomes a dating coach. Or even people like John, this one is very common, like they go on a single ayahuasca retreat and now all of a sudden they become a shaman. Like, this is what I mean, and this has been happening a lot for the last few years. Like, as soon as people see a small glimpse of success, instead of continue to master whatever it is that they're trying to learn and what they're doing, they just jump straight ahead into building a personal brand. And here's what I find fascinating. Recently, I've been getting questions from people asking me for advice on how to start the YouTube channels, their personal brand, how to make videos. Not to say that I'm an expert, my YouTube channel is still pretty small, but people ask me regardless, and they ask me what they should do because they want to make content, but they don't know what valuable thing they could share. And here's the story that I always tell them, which I think you will find valuable. There was this young man who went to see Mozart, we're going to call him Joseph. And Joseph, who was 20 years old, asked Mozart on advice on how to compose symphonies, but Mozart told him that he could not do it. To what Joseph replied, "But Mozart, you were composing your own symphonies when you were only 10 years old." But then Mozart said, "Yes, but I was not going around asking people how to do it." And the lesson in this story, applied to what I'm talking about here, is that if you have to go asking around what valuable thing you can provide with your own personal brand, maybe that is an indication that you're not ready yet. Because here's the thing, for me personally, it was very obvious what were the valuable things that I could provide. In my personal brand, I mainly talk about 4 things: health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. The foundations of what I believe is a cool, complete, and holistic life. Like, if you pull off all of them, you're gonna live a pretty amazing life. And in all of them, I would say I've been in between the top 1 to 5% at certain points in my life. Whether it's with the body that I've been able to build, or with the money I've made with my businesses at more than 6 figures a month, with the women I've dated and the people I've networked with. And well, with spirituality, I'm not going to quantify that because that would be incredibly stupid and contradictory considering the nature of spirituality. But you get the point, and the truth is that my takes, my stories, my ideas, the lessons that I share in these videos, they're all a byproduct of the life that I've lived, the experiences that I've gone through, and my achievements. But the thing is that it is now, after I've done all of that now I'm starting a personal brand and sharing all the things that I've learned, not before, because now I have this foundation. But people nowadays are trying to do it the complete opposite way. They are starting personal brands before they've lived the life, before they've had those experiences. Now, don't get confused. I'm not saying you have to be the absolute master, the number one in the world, in order for you to be able to teach your craft. The best example that I can give you is you don't have to become Mr. Olympia in order to become a gym coach. But I've always found it ridiculous when I see people who are in average shape or below average who are personal trainers. So it's the exact same thing. I would say you have to at least reach a minimum level before starting your personal brand. You don't have to be a master, but do something that's decent. For example, I have personally never had a business do more than $1 million in a month, but I've had 6-figure a month businesses. So am I the best business guy out there? Of course not. To begin with, there's only one best guy out there. And then for sure, there's a lot of other people who are making way more than me. There's people who make $1 million a month, 10 million a month, 100 million a month in revenue. And there's companies who do even more than that. So of course I'm not the best guy out there. Like, same with health right here. Do I have the best body on earth? Of course not. Have I won any bodybuilding competitions? Of course not. I have not even gone to them. But I would say I am comfortably above average. And same thing with the women that I've been with, the networking that I've done, and many other things I've covered in my YouTube channel. I've done enough of those to be certain that there are valuable things that I can share, especially when it comes to pulling all of these simultaneously, which I think is the cool part, and I don't see many people talk about this online. Not just having a lot of money, but also being in really good shape and having good people around you and having a clear life purpose that gives you a lot of meaning. That's the quote-unquote edge that I have. And I genuinely believe that people who try to do the whole thing of fake it till you make it, I believe the audience can see right through it. I see guys, especially in the business place, like Tom right here, who they have things on their websites like, oh, I usually charge like $5K for a business consultation call, but I'm just gonna give it to you for $500 or $300 or $1,000 or whatever. And it's like, come on, you're not fooling anybody, we can tell. And that's why I'm being very transparent with my stuff. I don't want to make any claims of things that I have not achieved. Like I just told you, I've never built a business that has made more than than 1 million in a month. But I've done this, which I would say it's pretty good. And I don't think you're doing yourself any favor by either starting a personal brand before you've achieved significant things or just by directly deceiving people. It just creates a sleazy image and you mess up your reputation. And once you lose that, I would say it's very, very hard to recover because the internet never forgets anything. So it might be even impossible to recover your reputation once you lose it. That's why I'm being very careful with everything that I share on this YouTube channel. Now, there is one caveat with all of the things that I'm saying, and that is the angle of your personal brand. Because what you could do if you haven't done much yet, and you don't want to be like these guys right here, is still have a personal brand, but in the angle of sharing your journey, basically your come up. I think I've heard that Iman Gadzi started his YouTube channel before he was actually making money. And he started posting videos when he was 14 years old, 15 years old, 16 years old, as he started whatever it is that he's doing. And he shared his journey along the way and how he started to make a lot of money and be really successful and all of that. So I think that is a very interesting and genuine angle that you could take. Or there's other ones, there's personal brands who are more about commentary, just opinions on things or perspectives in which they're not necessarily acting as if they're an expert or a master. They're just giving their opinion. Or even personal brands that are more about entertainment. I think all of these are completely fine because the main problem that I'm discussing right here with these guys is people who start their personal brands acting as if they're experts, as if they're masters at what they're doing. And I think this happens because some of the biggest personal brands nowadays, that's the role that they have. If you look at guys like Alex Hormozi, that's kind of his role. He's a guy that he has achieved more than most people will ever achieve. So he naturally has that role of being like the master, the expert, the one that's teaching you, and he's very certain about everything because he's gone through all of that. But the problem is that we humans learn by imitation. That's how we are biologically wired. That's why we speak, we think, we behave, we move the way people around us do. So now people see guys like Alex Hormozi running his personal brand like a master, and what people assume they have to do is start a personal brand playing that exact role because they're just going by imitation of replicating the thing that they're seeing other successful people do. But the problem is that this model, it is not compatible. Because even if you're replicating what successful people are doing, you're not that yet. You're not a master. You're not an expert. You haven't done anything. And if you do that, then you fall into what I was saying before, like you're being dishonest, you're losing your reputation, which is the worst thing that can happen to you. You cannot sacrifice that. And this is the problem that I think we've had for the last few years, an authenticity crisis. But I actually think it's changing and it is getting better. So if you are starting out, take your time, make sure you are proud of what you're putting out there and make the content that you would like to see and what you find valuable. And that's it. Okay, so subscribe to my channel because I'll be posting more videos like this very, very soon. Also, go watch some of my other videos right now, and hopefully I will see you very soon. Take care. Peace.